It's a lovely day. There's not a cloud in the sky. Anywhere. What's up with that? Anyway, I'm doing great. No idiots have been bothering me lately. Nothing could harsh my mellow just now.
Hold on, let me get my Becky voice ready. me.
Oh, for fuck.
So I went to Google and I typed in the term dreads, and I'm sure you could tell by the look on my face that I saw some bullshit. The first thing that pops up is like 10 to 15 pictures of white people.
Oh, poor baby.
Never fails. I always get some white people who have the nerve to try to tell me and other black people who agree how to feel about the situation.
No one's telling you how to feel about the situation. They're just telling you how stupid you're being.
To me, one of the most frustrating things about cultural appropriation.
Think of all the things that we wouldn't have if cultures didn't appropriate things from each other. We wouldn't even have something like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Could there be any more defining food of Americana than that? And yet, think of all the cultures that came from. Peanut butter is from the ancient Aztecs. Jelly is from the Middle and Near East. The leavened bread is from Egypt, so that covers Africa. And the practice of making a sandwich by putting food between two slices of bread is European. And it was Americans who put it all together into the PB&J. This is how mankind progresses. We look at things that the other person is doing, and we take it on as our own, and we progress from there. That's why we have things like iPhones, which contain parts that have been made on every single continent. For crying out loud, just read Leonard Read's iPencil to see how many different locations in the world come together to make a pencil. What you're wanting to do is stop all of that and stop everyone else from doing anything that isn't a strict part of their culture just for the sake of your own fifis.
But when they have the nerve to do it, to appropriate our culture, and then talk down to us, to discriminate against us, to harass us and all this stuff.
It's not doing that just to tell them you're being ridiculous when you're telling them not to do it. You're the one trying to harass and oppress people by telling them what hairstyle they're not allowed to have.
When we do it, we, us, the people whose culture it actually belongs to.
Lie, 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 lie. Let's put this to rest right now. Dreadlocks are not unique to Africa. If they should be associated with any one culture, it should be India. That is the only place in the world where dreadlocks have been worn pretty much continuously. Everywhere else pretty much has equal claim to them. In fact, very few African tribes ever wore dreadlocks. You have some in ancient Egypt and some in Senegal and Niger, but it was never really widespread throughout the continent. But they exist in pretty much the same numbers on just about every other continent going back to prehistory, pre-Columbian Aztecs, Tibetan Buddhists, and indigenous Australians. And yes, they did exist throughout Europe. In fact, the earliest depictions of dreadlocks we have is in 2600 BC Minoa. There are also depictions among the ancient Aegeans and the ancient Greeks. Fair-haired Spartan hoplites wore locks as part of their battle dress. They were also worn by ancient Christian ascetics. They were worn by prehistoric Germans, Celts, and many others. In fact, there's not much evidence of any modern African cultures wearing dreadlocks until 1844, when trade with India opened up and they were exposed to Indians wearing dreads. You do not own the dreadlocks, and you do not get to tell people who are descended from other cultures not to wear them. The current trend of dreadlocks being worn by people of African descent can be traced back to the popularity of Tafari Makonnen, who became Emperor of Ethiopia in 1930 and is better known as Haile Selassie. He wore dreadlocks to symbolize a lion's mane, since his full title was, "By the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I, King of Kings of Ethiopia, elect of God." A following of people grew who believed him to be the new Messiah of God, and this spawned the Rastafari movement, based on Coptic Christianity, later known as Rastafarianism. His followers wear dreadlocks in his honor, which started in 1949. It was mostly popularized among blacks in Jamaica, and the trend of American blacks like you wearing them begins with Bob Marley wearing them during his rise to popularity in the 1960s. So if anyone should be getting upset about appropriation, it's the Rastafarians, but they don't. They're cool with it, saying things like, not every Rasta is a dread, not every dread is a Rasta. The Indians would also have a capacity to complain about it, but they don't either. Only special little snowflakes like you. If anyone is appropriating the culture, claiming it as solely their own, and saying other people don't get to wear it, it's you. You are appropriating the dreads.
If you're black and you think it's just hair, that's fine.
Wait, so you admit there are black people who disagree with you? So maybe you shouldn't be pretending to speak for all of them, huh?
But if you are a white person, you can't even sit at the table with us on this one.
Why not? I have ancestry among both the Celts and the Germans, and among Scandinavians too. Yes, Vikings and Scandinavians also wore dreadlocks. You don't have a sole claim on them. Get over it!
Your opinions on this are irrelevant.
So, white people don't get freedom of speech. Nice to know.
And the only time I really ever hear white people say it's just hair is to defend other white people appropriating our hairstyles.
Because they're not doing anything wrong!
Or as a way to silence us when we call them out on their appropriation.
No one is trying to silence you. Here we go again. Someone points out what a moron you're being, and is like, you're violating my free speech. Could there possibly be anything more pathetic? Is anyone trying to get you kicked off of Twitter? You know, like Black Lives Matter and third-wave feminists and other social justice warriors have done to people they disagree with? No one is inhibiting your freedom of speech. They're just telling you what a moron you're being.
Whether you paid for it or it's growing out of your scalp, you should be free to wear it however you want. It should not be that big of a deal.
Unless you're a white person.
Our hair really is exclusive to black people.
No, it isn't!
But clearly it's not just hair when we have to choose between a job and wearing our hair in its natural state.
Hey, listen, moron. First of all, dreadlocks are not your hair's natural state. They take months to grow and form. Second, everyone has to make that choice. Do you want to be a long-haired hippie, or do you want to work at the law firm? Just like you have to make the choice of, do you want to wear that dirty tie-dyed shirt and the faded torn jeans, or do you want to wear a suit? It's called making yourself presentable to the clientele you'll have to interact with. You're not the only one who is put under those kinds of constraints. Get over it.
Moment of silence to all the money I spent trying to find the right products for my hair.
In the arms of the angel.
Thank you.
Yes, there are different kinds of hair. Even among Europeans, there's thick hair, thin hair, oily hair, dry hair, and you can find products that are meant to work with all of those. No one's singling you out. They're giving you what you need. That's what capitalism does. If you don't like it, don't buy the product and deal with it your own way.
It took me damn near my whole life to love my hair.
Yeah, I think that's a first world problem.
Because you guys told me it was ugly, because you guys told me it was unacceptable.
No one told you that. Stop lying.
And now you want to wear it for fashion, and now you want to say that it's not that big of a deal? Yeah, I'm gonna feel some type of way. Y'all want black hair so bad.
Dreadlocks are not black hair. We've established this.
My beef is less about a white girl in cornrows and more so about white people who stereotype and mistreat us for wearing our style.
But it's not your style.
But white people, if you're gonna appropriate black hairstyles, just be prepared to deal with the flack from a bunch of pissed off black people.
It's not a black hairstyle, and since it originates independently from every continent on the planet, it logically cannot be appropriated. If you need a hairstyle to define your identity, and other people can threaten that identity just by wearing that same hairstyle, you have something seriously wrong with you. Grow up and get a life. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit like and subscribe? And to make sure I can keep producing content, support this channel by becoming a patron. And check out all the other great content here, like this video selected especially for you.